What gives? Something's got to give. Yep. Something's got to give pretty soon. You ever had that feeling, friend? Your spidey sense, your intuition, your gut feeling tells you something about to give. And then it does. Something that appears to be random happens. That unexpected thing. A clap of thunder on a seemingly clear blue day, not a cloud in sight, or a phone call in the middle of the night. I know, I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. It's kind of like the 1:23 a.m. phone call that woke me up this morning. So let me ask you, friend, what did you do with your extra hour? Did you get one? I guess it's not an extra hour. Really, it's the hour that you got back and you gave up this spring with no interest paid, I'd have you consider. I mean, most of us tend to sleep it away gratefully, or, back in the day, depending on where you're at. It was an extra hour of our time. Some of us have the privilege of working the graveyard shift, and it becomes just another hour we get to work. Great. Either way, I'd have you consider it's an artificial construct, and reality has a way of inserting itself into our best laid plans and timings. See, mine pulled me into the impound yard last night, among other places, wee hours of the morning. Yeah, my son called me at 1:23 a.m. to let me know that his car was gone. Well, let's be clear. It was actually my car, and he had borrowed it. And it had been towed from the apartment complex where he'd been visiting for the last couple of days. So that's what got me. Yep, last night, the longest night of the year by chronological standards anyway, as long as you do the daylight savings time. I know, it's not the solstice, okay? But you get it. And for the record, my son's an adult. He just happened to be borrowing my car. So, of course, I say, well, let's go. How much cash is it? I mean, what are you going to do? You gotta, right? Shoot. So what's the point of all of this? I guess that this is where things have the potential to really go sideways. For you or for me, when we find ourselves in these situations, and there's a lot of variables. There are also opportunities. See, we can fall victim to our own biases, become careless out of frustration or justified anger at being mistreated or, being woke up in the middle of the night, right? I chose to grab a can of caffeinated sparkling water, try to make the best of it. I mean, we got to meet a guy who less than a couple of hours earlier had a gun pointed at his head. How often does that happen to you? Or how often do you get to meet that guy? Then there was the strange people in the streets of our lovely, semi-post-apocalyptic hell of Portland, Oregon, pushing shopping carts right down the middle of the highway. Yeah. Or doing the zombie jerk tweaker walk across the street when all the lights are green. It all happened. Why? COVID. And it's got to be, right? None of the 24-hour restaurants are open. Whose fault is that? To expect a 24-hour restaurant to be open at 3 a.m.? I mean, it's 2021 after all. But I digress. I mean, okay, maybe not. So why is there a giant black trash bag in the middle of the street when you're driving down the road? You've seen it, the one that you swerve around and miss, but by the time you come around the block again, well, now there are hundreds of aluminum cans being kicked to the curb by the driver of a minivan that's just sitting there with its flashing lights on. Maybe that was just me. Happened last night. It does make me wonder, though, how did that guy get to spend his hour? I can't help but wonder what the rest of his day was like. or how the rest of his night was, what happened to him today. It's that curiosity. What's his progression? You see, you and I, we live in pressurized systems, whether we think about it or not. We hear it all the time in terms of the weather, highs and lows, right? Fronts that are going this way or that way. And, with them often come storms and wind, if it's not, stability and sunshine. So, depending on the nature of the change, periods of entropy can create opportunities for chaos to enter our lives. Randomness. I'd have you consider that randomness begets randomness. And when those pressure systems are changing, things are destabilizing, that it's a time of risk, yes, but it's also a time of great opportunity. And for those with the awareness and the sensitivity to observe and look for the change, chaos theory, the butterfly effect, it's not coincidence, but neither is it quite to the level of causation or correlation. It just kind of is. So, are you in tune with your systems, friends? You call it karma? Is it luck, good or bad? Do you chalk it up to a miracle or a curse? Is it a blessing in disguise? Was mine? Who gets to decide? It was $225. Certainly didn't want to part with that. But there's so much more to it than what I have the time or the inclination to share with you in this format. So I'll leave you with this. Keep an eye out, friend. If the only constant is change, why are you trying so hard to stay the same? Thoughts, questions, comments? Throw me a like, subscribe to the channel, hit me up. Let's continue the conversation. You got my take. What say you?